Hello, welcome to another round of my Adobe Photoshop lesson. This lesson we are going to explore some um, selection tools, very powerful selection tools, which allows you to basically extract objects from an image and then place it somewhere else, okay, and do lots of stuff. We're also going to explore another function called layer fill, which basically allows us to change the color of an object and without affecting the texture. Okay, so let's without further ado, let's start learning out some cool stuff. Okay. Okay, this lesson is basically for us to learn one or two Photoshop tools, and this happens to be something like a selection tool, which is a very powerful tool. Okay, if you master this tool, this selection tool, you can extract any object and in an image, anything you want. Okay, so let's begin with this image here. All right, basically I'm in Photoshop. All right, and I've opened this image. You can access this image from your Times portal, and the image is called roses.jpg. Okay, so you just need to download this roses.jpg image into your C drive, into your computer, and then just open it in Photoshop. Okay, so as you can see, we have whenever we are doing this kind of task in Photoshop, we have to make sure that we have two things in mind. One is that we have our layers panel here. Okay, as you can see, it's on the right hand side, and this panel option here. So just click on layers, and you can see that you have a background layer. And the other thing would be to have your history over here. Okay, so just remember these two things. Right, what we're going to be doing is today for this lesson is that we're going to try to what do you call use a selection tool to select objects in this image. Okay, so later I'll show you what is the outcome of today's lesson, and you have to achieve that outcome. All right. Right, let's move over to this part here. You can see the what do you call the toolbox here, and we're gonna look for a tool called the Lasso Tool. Okay, so you can see that this tool is actually sitting on the third from the top. Okay, so I want you to click and hold, or you right click. Okay, and you see the options. What we want to select is basically the Polygonal Lasso Tool, the second one. Alright, we're not going to use this, we're not going to use the Lasso Tool, we are going to select the Polygonal Lasso Tool. So just click on it. Right, this is the tool that we are going to be using for today's lesson mainly. But before we use this tool, I want you to also look at the one on the fourth, which is called the Magic Wand tool. Right? Okay, so we have I have another lesson which is also we talk about this this tool here. Okay, the Magic Wand tool. So this Magic Wand tool is also a selection tool, right? And we're gonna select this first, right? Select the Magic Wand. We're gonna select the white background here. All right. So what we're gonna do is we want to get rid of the white background and make this document transparent. All right. So select the magic wand, okay? And then what you need to do is go to the tolerance part here, and basically tolerance means this is the part that the higher the tolerance, the more pixels will be selected in a less specific way, less accurate way. That means if you lower the tolerance, let's say lower, it means it will select something like it will select pixels which are more specific, like a particular color pixel, like red. That particular color of red in pixels will be selected. Okay, so since we are gonna be selecting white color, so it's rather general, so we can actually increase the tolerance to, let's say, about to 30. Okay, so increase the tolerance to 30, and then you just click anywhere on the white background. Before we do that, I want you to do one thing first. Let's go to layer, and you see this is the background layer. Right, what we do is we want to double click here, okay, and then it will turn this background layer into a normal layer. Just click OK. Right, so done this, good. And let's move back to the document here. Okay, so while we are still selecting the magic wand tool, let's click anywhere on the white background. Okay, so when you click on the white background, it will select all the white color pixels that is connected. You can see that it's actually selecting all the connected areas, right? Alright, so let's say you press the delete button on your keyboard. Okay, press the delete button, and what it does is that it removes the white background, okay, as you can see. Alright, but you will notice that actually still some white color pixels here, here, and here, because these three spots are not connected just now. So what we want to do is we just need to click on this spot and then press delete. Okay, click on this spot to select it, and then press delete. Click on this spot and then press delete. Okay, so the next thing what we're going to do is we have to deselect this spot here. You can see that it's blinking. The selection means it's selecting this part. We want to deselect it. Right, we're going to use a shortcut called Command D or Control D on your keyboard to deselect. Okay, so I have also listed some shortcuts here. Okay, so you can see that which one is to deselect. Okay, this one here. Okay, so if you press Command D or Control D for in your keyboard, okay, what it will do is it's gonna deselect this part. Let's say Command D. Alright, we don't want to select any part before we move on to the next task. So now we have let's have a look at the layers. So you can see that this layer is a transparent layer, and if I click on the selection tool here, and if I move, I can move this object here freely. Okay. Alright, so next thing what we're going to do is we are going to use the lasso tool. Remember what I taught just now? We're going to use the second one called Polygonal Lasso Tool. Alright, and the first object that we are going to select is this flower petal here, largest here, the largest one. And we're going to select the outline of it. Alright, and then later after we finish the selection, we are going to change the color of it. Alright, so what we're going to do is to do this task, it involves some shortcuts. Right, we need to use some shortcuts to help us to do the job. Right, but before I tell you the shortcuts, okay, I'm just going to show you how to use this Polygonal Lasso tool. Okay, so I'm just going to demonstrate it over here, this section here. Okay, I'm just going to use the zoom tool here to zoom in this part. Alright, and I will use the space bar, press it and hold the space bar, and then move. Okay, use the mouse to move. Later I'll demonstrate the shortcut again. Alright, so now I'm going to select my Polygonal Lasso tool, and basically I'm just going to show you how to use this tool here. So we start off with a click, right? If you do a click, you can see you have a spot here. We call it anchor point, and then you will click again, it will generate another anchor point. So this is basically what you are selecting, the area that you're selecting, okay? So you will just click and click until you finish selecting the area that you want. You come back to the beginning where you started. You see a 0 on the cursor. It means you can click and you will form a selection, okay? So before I click on this, I always want to tell you that what if you make a mistake and then you want to undo a selection, an anchor point? What you have to do is you can't use Command Z or Control Z to undo because it doesn't work. You just need to press the delete key on your keyboard. Do you see your delete key on your keyboard? Click, press the delete key. What happens is it falls back. You can see that, right? It goes backwards, right? So this is one way to undo. This is the only way to undo when you are using the Polygonal Lasso tool. All right. So let's say you finish. You want to close it. Okay. Just come back to where you started. Click. Right. So you can see that this is the what we call the selection path. All right. Okay. So right now. Okay, so I'm gonna apply this to this object here. Okay, but before I do that, I'm just gonna hit Command D or Control T to deselect. All right. Okay, so now we are going to use the Polygonal Lasso tool to select this flower petal here. Okay, that's what I'm gonna show you next. We're gonna continue what the Polygonal Lasso tool. Right, so now I'm selecting the Polygonal Lasso tool, and I'm going to start selecting this object here. But before I do that, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have to zoom in, alright? So we can use the zoom tool here. If you click, alright, and then you just click on where you want to zoom in. So while you zoom in, okay, and then after you zoom in, you have to navigate, right? So you need to press and hold the space bar until you see a hand sign on your cursor. Yeah, then you use your mouse to click, drag around. Okay, so that's how you move about. Okay, and another way to, if you want to zoom out, is when you are still in the zoom tool, is to press and hold the Option key or the alternate key. Okay, and you can zoom out, zoom in. All right, so I'm going to click on the Polygonal Lasso tool. All right, and then I will start off with this part here. Okay, somewhere here, this is click. Right, remember I click to start with anchor point. So the good thing about the Polygonal Lasso tool is that it will detect the pixels that you want to select. Okay, so you can see that as I move around the outline of the object here, okay, so this is basically, although it detects, but you still have to follow closely the outline. You don't want to miss too much. Okay, so just continue while you select the outline. Okay, you have to be careful on the mouse click. Okay, so if you accidentally click too fast, it will, what the Polygonal Lasso tool will do is to form a selection. So that means that's not the selection that you actually wanted, because you haven't completed it. Alright, so you just have to, by no choice, you have to redo. So it's very important that you don't simply double click, accidentally double click, because that will ruin the whole selection. Okay, so I just use the spacebar again to move my position. Alright, so I'm just following basically the outline of this paddle here. Okay, right, so as a reminder, please also I would remind you to check on your your system's mouse double clicking speed. Right, so you don't want to because some people like to adjust their double clicking mouse speed to very fast. Alright, so when you do this kind of task, it's best to not do that. Right, so you can see I've come to this part here where I have to bypass the, what do you call, this part here, which doesn't there's a leaf here. I don't want to select the leaf, so I bypass it. So I just follow the outline here, and then basically just bypass that particular leaf. Okay, so this lesson is basically we are learning how to use this Polygonal Lasso tool and master it, so that we can use this tool to basically extract or select and extract any object you wish or you want in an image. Okay, so this selection tool has that ability to allow you to do that. Right, so but you just have to be careful when you are using this, when you're doing this kind of tasks, because sometimes it takes quite a bit of patience, and and you have to be really able to concentrate, focus, and careful, right? So I'm about to come back to where I started in the first place. So you need to come back to where you started in order to complete the path or complete the selection. Okay, use my spacebar to navigate. Right, and so you just have to make sure that you see the 0 sign when you come back to the first anchor point. Okay, remember, you want to undo, you just need to press the delete key. It will fall back, it goes back to some previous selection. Okay, so I'm just going to, this is the first anchor point. You can see my 0 there. I just click, and then you would be able to see the path selection. Select the path. You can see the dotted lines. Okay. All right. So I have some navigation shortcut here that you can have a look. So this is the one I mentioned about, Command plus or Control plus to zoom in. All right. Command plus, Command minus or Control minus to zoom out. This is the zoom tool. Okay, Command or Control D to deselect, spacebar to basically navigate while you are doing your selection. Okay, let's go back to where we left off. Right, so this is I've finished selecting this pedal here using the Polygonal Lasso tool successfully. Okay, so we are going to change the color of this object. All right, and of course we can extract this object and then bring it to somewhere else. Okay, so what if you are going to be doing that is very simple. Um, what I would do is, let's say you have finished your selection, all right, you can go to edit, copy, okay, and then you can create a new file. So the new document size is based on what you have copied. So I'm just gonna increase a little bit here, the size, okay. Just click create, and then you just need to go to edit, paste, okay, and then you can see that it has a independent layer here. Okay, if I close this one, you can see the can move it around, you know. Okay, so this is the how you extract an object from an image and then bring it to another document, and then you can do whatever you want with it. Okay, and right now this is what we're going to be doing right now is to what do you call that, change the color, right? So right now okay, we need to go to what do you call that, layer. Okay, do you see layer on top here? Okay, go to layer and then new fill layer. This effect is called new fill layer. All right, it's under layer, and you go to solid color. All right, so this one you just click OK. Right, so what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna have to pick a color. So we can first pick any color from this spectrum here. All right, let's say I pick this color here, and then first pick a color range and then pick a color shade, then click OK. So what you can see now is it generates a color fill layer over here, and then this one tells you that this is where you have selected and this is the color you have selected. Alright, so we have to do one more thing, alright, which is to, while you're on this layer, go to this normal here, click on the arrow, and then click on soft light. Alright, click on soft light. So it will give you the effect that you want. So basically this color is being overlay onto the surface of your selection, but maintaining, and then this effect will give you a different color but maintaining the texture. Okay, so what I want you to do is to continue your work, follow the same steps that I have taught just now. Okay, so we have quite a number of objects here. So I want you to first finish the rose petals here. So basically use the lasso tool, polygonal lasso tool, to select the second petal here, and then after you select, you do the same thing. You go to image, sorry, go to layer, new fill layer, solid color. Alright, and then okay, and then just pick the color, and then just basically repeat the same steps as what I've showed earlier. Okay, so then after you finish this petal here, you have to come and do the same for this petal here. And you finish the petals, you have to go for the leaves, right? And then the stem over here. Okay, so I'm just gonna talk you through this particular part here. When you are doing this part here of the stem, we can't basically select the whole stem one shot. because you can see that this is overlapping each other, right? So you have to be logical. That means when you're doing this part here, you select the Polygonal Lasso Tool. You have to somehow uh, not bypass it, but to make a U-turn. Okay, so let's say if I select this part here, and then when it comes to this part, I can't go through it. I have to make a U-turn. Okay, so basically, I just need to select this part here, this whole part here, and then give it a color. All right. So that's how it should be done. And let's say if I select this pedal this stem for this part here, I would go through here. Okay, let's say come out from there, coming back to where I started, and then I have to come back over here to finish off the job. Okay, so this one here, as I mentioned, the next step would be go to layer, new fill layer, solid color. Okay, and then click OK. So I will have to pick a color, maybe a brown would be good, dark brown. Okay, click, go to the layers. See, you can see that there's another layer here, it's got new fill color. So we just need to click on soft light. Alright, so it gives you a nice brown color stem branch here. Alright, so my question, you might have a question that let's say, what if I want to change this color here? I don't like this color. If I want to change it, so what you do is you just need to click on this thumbnail here, over here, double click, and then just basically change the color from here. See that? It changes instantly. Click OK. And another question would be, what if I have placed a color for this one and I want to have the same color for this one here, this part here? What do I do? So very easy, you just need to double click on the thumbnail here again, and you can see there's a color code here. This is the color code for this color. You just need to copy this color code and then paste it on the next layer. Okay, so this is basically what I want to cover for this one. And your task, okay, your task would be what we call would be to finish this whole thing. Okay, so I'm just going to talk about this on the next video. Coming back to your tasks, after you have learned the entire lesson, and what you need to do for this lesson is to come up with this, what do you call that, okay, to come up with this. All right, so you can see your task is to complete the rest. All right, and this is a very good example. You can follow this example here. And then you have to also provide a background color in this case. Okay, so what you need to do is, for the background, okay, over here, so you just need to go to the layers here. Okay, I'll just click on the layers. So you go to layer 0 over here, and then you see there's a create new layer icon here. See that? Click on this, create a new layer. Right, so this new layer will sit on top of this layer here. What I want you to do is to swap between these two. You just need to click and drag down like that. Okay, so it goes below this. Okay, so right now, what you do is you're gonna apply a gradient effect for the background here. Okay, so this is going to be the background, right? Because it's sitting at the bottom. So whatever is at the bottom is at the back. Whatever is on top is in front. Okay, that's the order of layer ordering of Photoshop. And so while I'm at the bottom layer here, so what I do is I just go to my toolbox here, alright, and then right click on this icon here. Do you see that? And then you see gradient, right? So just click on gradient. So basically this is the paint bucket tool, right? It's the gradient is inside the paint bucket tool. So once you select the gradient tool, over here you see the foreground and the background. Okay, so what you want to do is to select a color for the foreground. I'm just going to select white color for the foreground, and black color for, and then the background would be another color. So for example, let's select a blue. All right. Sorry, maybe green. Okay, dark green. Okay, so I have a white color for my foreground and then green color for my background. So while I'm in this layer one here, so now what I do is I zoom out a little bit, okay, and then what I do is I'll do a from top click and drag to the bottom here. Alright, do you see that? Okay, or you can click and drag from the bottom to the top. Okay, you get this nice effect, or you can click and drag diagonally from top right to bottom left, or vice versa. Okay, so at the end, I want you to save your file. I want you to save two files. One is go to File, Save As. I want you to save one Photoshop file. Okay. Photoshop file means a .psd file, Photoshop file. Okay, name it. And then when you have a Photoshop file, next time you can open that same Photoshop file and you have the layers here, and then you can edit whatever you want, right?